What's up everybody, my name is Axel Fuentes, and today we're taking a look at my Gallien Krueger 700RB210 bass amp. Got this amp like 2 weeks ago, been playing on it a lot. I used it at 2 gigs already, it sounds awesome, and I even received compliments from the crowd at how good the bass was sounding. Killer amplifier, absolutely love it, and I'm glad that I decided to make this upgrade from my acoustic B30. Main reason why I got this amp is because it was cheap, had a lot more features, and had exactly the features that I wanted, except for one, and that's a built-in compressor limiter, but at $300 something, this is the best that you can get, and you can't beat that price. So I'm going to take the camera off the tripod, and we're going to take a closer look at the features of the amp. Okay, so here's a closer look at the amplifier. I'm just going to go from left to right. So starting here on the left, we have the direct out. Here's the XLR output, which I already have connected. Right next to that, we have the ground lift switch. You would turn this on if there is a ground loop forming from having your amp connected to the same power supply as your interface or your sound system. Next to that, we have the pre-post EQ switch. Basically, in the down position, the signal coming out of here will be after the equalization, which is over here. But if you have it in pre-EQ, then the signal that comes in is going to go directly out of here as well. So this removes the need for a direct box, which is great for me because it's one less thing I have to carry with me to a gig, one less thing that I'm likely to forget. I used it in the post-EQ mode when we were at the festival, and the sound man was okay with that. He said, "I trust you, have it set it in post-EQ," and he didn't have to change anything on his console for our sound. And next to that, we have a trim, so that if your signal is way too high, you can turn it down. There are many direct outputs which don't have that, so the soundman is forced to compensate for a very, very loud direct signal. Next to that, we have the input, your standard 1/4 inch input. Next to that, we have the 10 decibel pad. This is ideal for electric instruments which have very, very hot pickups. You can drop the signal by 10 decibels if it's too loud. Next to that is a clip light to let you know when you're too loud. Next to that, we have the tuning mute and a light to go along with it, and I'll get to how that works in a minute, but it mutes the speakers. The signal will still go in here and go out to the patch bay and go through the EQ, but it'll mute the speakers. And right here we have the master volume, which controls the overall volume for the entire amp. Right next to it, we have voicing filters. I haven't played around with this too much, so I don't exactly know what they do, but this one has contour control, and this one is presence. This one just has it says more up here on the top, flat over there, and it shows a curve right here. I have no idea what this does, and presence just has a minus or plus. And over here we have this button which optimizes the amp for a 4-string bass or for a 5+ bass. When I'm playing with my upright, I keep it in the down position as well. It tends to sound better and more rumbly the way I like it. And also, all the bass guitars I have are 5-stringers, so I always keep it in the down position. And next to this, we have the active equalization. Treble, high mid, low mid, and bass, which is backwards from how I've seen it most of the time. I've seen it mostly with the lows here and the highs here. I just have the treble up around 2 o'clock, high mid at 12, low mid at 2, and the bass at 3. And it gives me the exact sound I want. Now, whenever I play with my upright bass, I always have the low mid all the way down. And that's just the perfect sound that I want. And right here we have the biamp output controls. Boost, which controls the volume boost for the speakers. Tweeter level, which controls this right here, the tweeter. And woofer level, which controls the woofers, which are down below the speakers. Right here we have the tweeter high cut. I always keep it on the on position, but if I were playing slap bass or if I were playing arco, I'd probably turn the high cut off so that you get the high frequencies. Next to that, next to the woofer switch, we have the Woofer Crossover, which I have no idea what it does. If someone can answer that question for me, that'd be great. I've just been keeping it on for now, but I have no idea what it does. And right next to that, we have the patch bay. We have 3 1/4 inch connectors here. These 2 are the effects send and return, so that's ideal if you are going to hook up your amp to a pedal board, one pedal, outboard effects processor, compressor, or something like that. Very useful. And next to that, we have the tuner output. Now this is just so you can connect like your good old chord tuner. You can just connect it right there, and this acts as another output, so that way you don't have to turn off your amp, disconnect your instrument, connect it into a tuner, tune, and then disconnect and reconnect again. You can just keep your tuner connected. You can just have this up here already connected, and then when you need to tune, just turn on the tuning mute, and it'll mute the speakers so you can tune, and then you can just unmute it and turn off your tuner whenever you're ready. And then you're good to go. You don't have to stop the group that you're playing with to tune mid-set. And next to that we have the Power Protect light, and over here we have the power button. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and then we're going to hook up, I'm going to give it a test with all my instruments, and we're going to see how it sounds. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Now you can't see it because of my lights, but the light first turns red, then it turns green once the amp is ready. Okay, so here I have my Alvarez plugged in and ready to go. So that's what my Alvarez sounds like through the amp. Let me try with my Squier. Now my Squier is a much louder bass because it has active pickups, or active electronics. So this bass promises to be a lot louder. That's what my Squier sounds like. Very powerful and loud. Ow. Kind of tripped over my box. Alright, now I guess I might have to readjust the camera so that I can get the bass in the frame. That's the problem with filming, also with filming with a large instrument. Alright, so I'm going dry signal, no preamp. And my phone is running really low on battery, so I am going to have to hurry this up. Yeah, that gives that that works. That works exactly how I wanted to. That's perfect. Alright, let me just try with Arco and see how that sounds. I'll just play something on the lower frequencies, maybe something like along the lines of Tetris. Yep, that works ideally great. So this amp really is good for any bass that you use for it. With that being said, I'm going to give it 5 stars just because of all it can do. Minus 5 points because it doesn't have a built-in compressor limiter, but that's not a problem because I have my microphone preamp, which I can really use as a limiter if I need to, like how I do with for my electric upright bass. So yeah, this great amp. Definitely recommended to any bass player who has a mid to high range budget for a bass amp. And also, one more thing which I didn't talk about. There are 2 speak-on connections on the back. One is integrated, so one is for the integrated speakers. But you can also hook this up to a bass cabinet if you really wanted to. A 6-foot cab with a bunch of speaker cones in it. One of those cabs, if you really want to, and there's also 1/4-inch speaker outputs on the back, so you have a wide variety of connectivity options for this amp. This has been the video review for the Gallien Krueger 700RB210. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.